The air was thick with the smell of gasoline and city grime, but something else cut through it. A faint, desperate whimper. I followed the sound to a construction site, and my heart dropped. Lying on the edge of the asphalt, baking under the unforgiving sun, was a tiny puppy. Its body was almost completely submerged in a pool of fresh, hot tar. Only its head and one ear were free, and its small, terrified eyes looked up at me, pleading. It wasn't just stuck. It was being burned alive. I scooped him up, not even thinking about my hands getting covered in the sticky, black goo. I rushed him home, his little body trembling violently in my arms. There was no time for a vet. This was a race against the clock, and I was the only one who could help him. I knew from online research that harsh chemicals would only make it worse, so I grabbed a bottle of cooking oil and began the painstaking process. It took all night. The tar was a thick, cruel shell, and every movement caused him pain. I worked slowly, pouring the warm oil over his tiny limbs, massaging it in to break down the tar's grip. He would cry out softly with each gentle pull, and my heart would break. A little more. My hands were sore, my clothes were ruined, but I couldn't stop. I had to believe that underneath all that darkness, there was a little life fighting to be free. By dawn, the last stubborn piece of tar peeled away, revealing not the silky fur I'd hoped for, but raw, red skin. He was weak, exhausted, but he was free. I gave him a warm bath and a bowl of food, which he devoured. As he curled up to sleep, I knew I couldn't let him go. This wasn't just a rescue. It was the start of something new. He's now a part of my family. His name is Lucky, and while a few small scars remain as a reminder of his ordeal, they only tell it.
The scream was silent, but it echoed in my mind louder than any thunder. I was driving down a quiet back street when I saw it. A small, dark shadow crumpled on the side of the road. At first, I thought it was a discarded piece of fabric or a lost bag, but as I got closer, the shape resolved into something far more horrifying. It was a tiny puppy, completely entombed in black, glistening asphalt. Its body, from its neck all the way to its tail, was encased in a thick, sticky layer of tar that had hardened under the midday sun. Only its head was free, its eyes wide, with terror, and its mouth letting out weak, desperate whimpers. The sight stole the breath from my lungs. This wasn't an accident. This was a deliberate act of cruelty, a slow and agonizing death sentence. My heart pounded with a mix of fury and fierce resolve. I knew I couldn't leave this little one to suffer another minute. There was no time to lose. I made a few frantic calls, and within minutes, my small crew of rescue volunteers was on the scene. We carefully scooped the puppy up, its tiny body, rigid and heavy with the unforgiving tar, and raced it back to my place. The first order of business was to keep it from dehydrating. While one of us gently dribbled water into its mouth, the rest of us scrambled to find a solution. We knew from experience that harsh chemicals were out of the question. The tar had already burned its skin. The plan was simple but daunting. We would fight the black goo with cooking oil, a tried and true method, and a special cleaning solution for the more stubborn spots. The battle began as the sun set. It was a slow, grueling process. The tar clung to the puppy's fur and skin with an almost malicious grit. When I saw it, a small, dark shadow crumpled on the side of the road. At first, I thought it was a discarded piece of fabric or a lost bag, but as I got closer, the shape resolved into something far more horrifying. It was a tiny puppy, completely entombed in black, glistening asphalt. Its body, from its neck all the way to its tail, was encased in a thick, sticky layer of tar that had hardened under the midday sun. Only its head was free, its eyes wide, with terror, and its mouth letting out weak, desperate whimpers. The sight stole the breath from my lungs. This wasn't an accident. This was a deliberate act of cruelty, a slow and agonizing death sentence. My heart pounded with a mix of fury and fierce resolve. I knew I couldn't leave this little one to suffer another minute. There was no time to lose. I made a few frantic calls, and within minutes, my small crew of rescue volunteers was on the scene. We carefully scooped the puppy up, its tiny body, rigid and heavy with the unforgiving tar, and raced it back to my place. The first order of business was to keep it from dehydrating. While one of us gently dribbled water into its mouth, the rest of us scrambled to find a solution. We knew from experience that harsh chemicals were out of the question. The tar had already burned its skin. The plan was simple but daunting. We would fight the black goo with cooking oil, a tried and true method, and a special cleaning solution for the more stubborn spots. The battle began as the sun set. It was a slow, grueling process. The tar clung grip. We worked meticulously, pouring warm oil over a small section at a time, massaging it in, and then gently trying to peel back the hardened layers. The puppy, whom we had named Tarzan, for the time being whimpered softly, a sound that cut into our souls. Every time we managed to pull off a piece, it revealed a patch of raw red skin beneath. It was clear the tar had seared its delicate flesh. Hours bled into one another, filled with the smell of warm oil and the quiet, determined scraping of our tools. The exhaustion was palpable, but we couldn't stop. With each piece of tar we removed, a tiny flicker of hope grew brighter. This wasn't just a physical battle against a substance. It was a desperate fight to restore life, to prove that compassion could conquer even the most callous cruelty. By the time the final patch was lifted, the first rays of dawn were breaking. Through the window, with the last of the tar finally gone, we were left with a shivering, exhausted, but free puppy. Its body was a map of angry, red burns, but for the first time, its eyes held more than just fear. They held a quiet gratitude. The relief in the room was immense, a collective sigh of victory. After giving him a small, nutritious meal and a warm, soothing bath to help with the burns, I looked at him sleeping peacefully in a soft blanket. I knew then that I couldn't let him go. This little fighter had endured so much, and I was going to make sure the rest of his life was filled with nothing but love and security. I decided to adopt him. His name is now Lucky, and he is a constant reminder of the darkness he overcame. His scars have healed, though a few faint marks remain. They are not a sign of his past pain, but a badge of his incredible resilience. He has grown into a happy, playful dog who loves nothing more than chasing a ball in the yard and snuggling up beside me on the couch. Every day, his joyful barks and wagging tail fill my home and my heart with a happiness that is both profound and overwhelming. Do you want to continue with a new story, or perhaps expand on Lucky's journey to full recovery and happiness?
A low growl of fear, a hand reaching for a broken soul. Can you believe that fear can turn a small, fluffy creature into an aggressor? And can a single act of love heal a lifetime of trauma? The phone rang frantically in the dead of night. It was my friend, Thou, her voice filled with panic. The little Pomeranian isn't doing well. He's completely out of it and keeps biting everyone. My heart sank. I knew she was talking about the two little Pomeranians we had just rescued from a terrible situation. They were abandoned, lost, and full of fear. Her concern was clear. I'm afraid if he gets out, he'll run away and get into more trouble. And the two of them just keep fighting. One keeps biting the other. It's not working at all. I quickly threw on a jacket, my mind racing with images of the two dogs struggling with their own inner demons. One was beautiful, with fluffy white fur, but he was aggressive, likely due to psychological trauma. The other was timid, scared, and constantly bullied by his kennel mate. My car sped to her place, my heart heavy. When I arrived, I saw the little Pomeranian huddled in a corner, his eyes filled with suspicion, his teeth bared. He wouldn't stop growling whenever someone got close. His fear had turned into aggression, making him a danger to himself and those around him. All right, we have to separate them, I said, my voice firm. He's in a state of shock from fear. He needs his own space to calm down. I gently picked up the dog. He struggled and tried to bite, but I held on. I spoke to him in the softest voice I could. "It's okay, little one. Don't be scared. You'll be on your own. You will be able to rest. And you'll be safe." I took the dog home and placed him in a quiet, separate room. He was still scared, but he stopped growling. I left him there, giving him the space he needed to feel safe, to learn to trust. The healing process began with the smallest gestures. The next morning, I noticed he wasn't as frantic. I carefully carried him to the yard, letting him run and breathe the fresh air. "No one is going to hurt you anymore. You're safe now," I murmured. For the first time, he ran freely, without fear. It was as if he was discovering the world anew. I knew this was a good sign. In the meantime, I began caring for the other dog as well. I prepared food for him. "You eat so fast," I whispered, as I watched him devour his meal. He ate with a frantic speed, as if afraid the food would vanish at any moment. This broke my heart. I knew that in their past lives, they had to fight for every single meal. I started their full treatment. I had to give them deworming medication. The little Pomeranian seemed to love the taste of the medicine, eating it quickly. I believe his stomach had been empty for too long. They received special care, were given nourishing food, and were groomed. Their fur was matted and showed signs of skin disease. "Their fur just keeps shedding," I sighed, looking at the clumps of hair on my hands. "And it looks like they have mange." I patiently cleaned and bathed them. The little Pomeranian, though still timid, no longer tried to bite me. He let me clean his wounds and put eye drops in his eyes. He looked at me with eyes full of newfound trust. In that moment, I knew I had succeeded. Over time, both dogs recovered. They no longer fought. They learned to live in peace and adapted to their new life in my yard. They were free to run and play. "You guys stay here and get used to it," I told them. "I'll find you a loving family, a real home." The process of getting to know them was slow but incredibly rewarding. Every morning, I would open the door, and the little Pomeranian would be waiting, his tail wagging tentatively. Soon, he was a little shadow, following me everywhere. He learned to trust my touch, my voice, and my presence. The other dog, the one with the beautiful fur, also softened. He became playful and affectionate. I realized that their unique personalities, once hidden by fear and aggression, were truly beautiful. I spent countless hours playing fetch, giving them belly rubs, and simply sitting with them, letting them feel safe. Their happy barks and playful growls became the soundtrack to my life. I eventually made a decision. I couldn't part with them. They had become a part of my soul, my little family. They weren't just rescued animals. They were my companions. I officially adopted them, giving them the forever home they deserved. My life is now filled with their joy. We go for walks in the park, where they run freely, their fur glistening in the sun. They chase after balls, play with other dogs, and greet every new person with happy barks and wagging tails. Every morning, I wake up to their happy meows and warm nuzzles. Every evening, they are curled up on my lap. My life and theirs has become whole.
a baptism of hope. The clinic and the unspoken pact. The journey to the clinic was a race against a ticking clock. My partner drove with a practiced urgency, but every bump and jolt on the city's uneven roads felt like a painful tremor to the dog's fragile body, cradled gently in my arms. The fear of losing him before we even had a chance to fight was a suffocating weight in the silence of the car. He lay motionless, his golden fur a muted, somber color under the streetlights, his breath a shallow, ragged whisper against my chest. I kept murmuring soft reassurances, not knowing if he could hear me, but needing to believe that the sound of a caring voice could be a tether, a lifeline pulling him back from the abyss he was teetering on. Upon arrival, the clinic's fluorescent lights seemed almost blinding, a harsh, clinical starkness after the gloom of the abandoned lot. The air, crisp with the scent of antiseptic, was a promise of healing. We were met by the veterinary staff, their faces a mask of professional calm despite the obvious severity of the dog's condition. They moved with a controlled urgency, their hands gentle but firm as they took him from my arms and moved him to the treatment table. He was a quiet, heavy presence, a testament to his sheer exhaustion and profound suffering. There was no growl, no protest, just a deep, weary surrender. The first step was a baptism of sorts, a long overdue cleansing. He was so weak, so utterly still, that we had to support his body as we gently began to wash away the layers of filth and neglect. The water, warm and soothing, ran off his once golden coat, a muddy river of grime and sickness flowing away. As the water worked its magic, his wounds, previously hidden beneath a tangled, dirty mane, began to reveal themselves. They were numerous and deep, many of them old, festering lesions that spoke of weeks, perhaps months of silent torment. His compliance was astonishing, a quiet, brave acceptance of every touch, every cleansing motion. It was as if he understood instinctively that this was the path to salvation. With each scrub, each gentle rinse, it felt like we were washing away not just the physical dirt, but the ghosts of his past, preparing him for a new beginning. Following the wash, the veterinary team wasted no time. A powerful stream of sterile water was used to flush and clean every single wound, a process that must have been painful but was endured without a single complaint. With his wounds now exposed, and his body as clean as we could get it, the next critical steps began. The vet carefully inserted an foreline into his front paw, a thin tube now his conduit to life-sustaining fluids and medication. They administered a potent dose of antibiotics to begin battling the widespread infection ravaging his body, and a cocktail of other supplements to boost his strength and support his failing organs. It was a symphony of medical intervention, a desperate fight against the odds, and he was at the center of it all, a silent, unwavering hero, the price of a second chance. A deal with my heart. After he was stable, the vet took me aside. Her voice was kind but firm, outlining the stark reality of the situation. The cost to treat him is going to be significant, she explained, her eyes full of empathy. The wounds are deep, and he'll need extensive long-term care, including a full-body shave and possibly minor surgery on some of the deeper lacerations. This isn't a quick fix. She looked at me, a silent question in her gaze. My mind raced, calculating the financial strain, the potential sacrifices I would have to make. But my heart, having already made its decision the moment I saw him lying in that junkyard, refused to entertain any doubt. There was no other option. I looked her straight in the eye, my voice unwavering, and said, "I'm all in. We save him, whatever it takes." That evening, the vet and I made the difficult decision to shave his entire body. It was a heartbreaking sight. His magnificent golden fur, the very feature that had first drawn me to him, was clipped away, leaving him completely exposed, vulnerable. But it was a necessary evil. Without shaving, the old, festering wounds hidden beneath the matted coat would never properly heal. As the last of his fur fell away, the full extent of his suffering was laid bare. Scars crisscrossed his body, a map of past injuries, some old and some new. It was a brutal testament to a life lived in silent agony. Yet, even in his exposed state, He remained stoic, his eyes closed in a deep, weary slumber, a testament to the trust he had so quickly placed in us. We continued his regimen of 4 fluids and supplements, a constant drip of nutrients and life into his body. With the worst of the immediate medical procedures behind us, the long and arduous process of nourishment began. The vet recommended a special, high-nutrient formula, and I purchased a large syringe to carefully administer it. He was so weak, so utterly exhausted, that he barely had the strength to lift his head, let alone eat. I would gently hold his face, opening his mouth and slowly, painstakingly, squeezing a few drops of the milky fluid into his mouth. He would swallow with a monumental effort, a soft, weary gulp that was both heartbreaking and inspiring. For a long time, he seemed to have no will to eat, no interest in the sustenance that would bring him back to us. But I was persistent. Piece by piece, syringe by syringe, I made sure he finished the entire feeding, my hands trembling with the effort of holding both of us together. Over days, this routine became a sacred ritual, a quiet, powerful act of defiance against the cruelty that had brought him to this point. I would blend high-quality kibble with rehydrated chicken, creating a nutrient-dense paste that I would carefully inject into his mouth. It was a tedious, exhausting process, but with each successful swallow, I felt a wave of profound hope. The golden return, a new family and a life reborn. The transformation was gradual, almost imperceptible at first. A flicker of his ear when I spoke, a tentative wag of his tail, a soft lick of my hand as I fed him. With each passing day, his strength grew, his golden fur slowly beginning to grow back, a testament to his incredible will to live. The wounds, once angry and festering, began to heal, leaving behind smooth, pink scars that would forever tell the story of his survival. The moment he was strong enough to stand on his own was a day of triumph. He wobbled at first, his legs shaking with disuse, but with each step, his confidence grew. His once vacant eyes were now bright, full of life and a profound gratitude. I adopted him without a moment's hesitation, naming him Sunny for his magnificent golden coat and the bright light he had brought into my life. Bringing him home was like bringing a piece of sunshine into my life. I had prepared a warm, cozy corner for him, a soft bed piled high with blankets, new bowls, and a collection of gentle toys. The moment he stepped inside, his tail gave a tentative wag, a shy acknowledgement of his new beginning. Life with Sunny settled into a rhythm of pure, unadulterated happiness. His initial shyness melted away, replaced by an affectionate eagerness. He explored every nook and cranny of his new home, his fluffy head bouncing with curiosity. His playful spirit blossomed. He loved chasing soft balls in the yard, his eyes gleaming with delight, his gait still a little uneven but filled with an infectious energy. Our family grew even happier with the addition of a sweet female dog, who instantly took to him. Their bond was instant and heartwarming. They would chase each other through the living room, their barks a symphony of joy, wrestling gently on the rug, a beautiful tangle of fur and limbs. Watching Sunny, whose life had begun with such unimaginable pain, frolic with such unburdened joy, fills my heart with a profound sense of purpose and peace. His scars, now fully healed into a smooth, pink landscape on his body, were no longer a mark of suffering but a testament to his incredible survival and the boundless capacity for love and happiness that can emerge even from the deepest darkness. Every day with Sunny, watching him thrive and interact with his new companion, is a vivid reminder that even the most shattered lives can be rebuilt, and joy can be found in the most unexpected places. His golden fur, now fully grown back, shines like a beacon of hope, a permanent, glowing reminder of the power of a second chance.